Yeah. I think Steve Crooks was fairly quick between the two.
Fair enough. What do you make of it anyway?
I guess so. Last week I had intended to get some feedback in on Hodgson leaving, so maybe I'll just cover Burke quickly. Yeah, so I think it's fair to say I was fairly underwhelmed by Hodgson signing for us. However, I think he has been quite badly treated by the players if a lot of the stories are true, and also, just watching them on the field, I don't think that they've done him any favours at all.
It never feels like they've really bought into his messages over the last 2 years.
No, and at the end of the day, whatever your coaching is, you're not going to go out and be telling players to drop the ball on the first tackle and give penalties away, which is, the last half a dozen matches, that is all we've done is drop. We get a scrum and we drop the ball on the first tackle and just really dumb play, and it does feel like it's it's not fair.
But a change had to be made, didn't it, if that was the state of things?
Yeah, and I think it's difficult, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, the players shouldn't be dictating what goes on. But then, if as a coach you're not big enough, as in you're not strong enough either as a character or whatever to make that stand, then ultimately something has to go, and it has to either be that group of players or the coach. And unfortunately, in Brett's case, it was him. And I've got nothing but positive things to say about him as a human being.
Yeah,
absolutely. Obviously we had the time down at the training ground with him, but then the next day we were en route to Wigan and he came over to chat to us, waited till Joshua was out of the toilets, and just a really, really nice bloke. So, I hope that whatever he's going on to now, is more successful for him and works for him and his family. A year ago, just before the start of the season, there was on Radio Humberside, they had Brett Hodgson and Luke Gale and Tony Smith and Sean Kenny-Dowell on. And fans could send in questions and things, and it was just sort of a general chat. I came away from listening to that and I said, I wish we had Tony Smith as our coach. He's passionate, he understands, he just gets it, and he inspires confidence, I felt, as you listen to him. And I would have rather had him as our coach. I'm really happy with him as a signing, as a coach. I think we had to do something big, because I think otherwise past sales are going to be absolutely horrific this year. Is he big enough? I don't know. It's difficult to tell, but Pearson had to do something very, very quickly, and it's the first time we've signed a known coach, a known first team coach for an awfully long time. You're probably going back to 2004 when we had John Keir.
Yeah, a lot of the other people have been assistants or progressed through the club, like assistants in Australia, or progressed through the club. Here's a call for you, because I know everyone's speculating now on what's going to happen at Hull FC next year. Hull FC have made a number of big name signings already, haven't they, for next year? Jake Truman and Tex Hoy being the sort of main headline grabbing ones. But one thing, and Brad Dwyer coming in as well, and I think Brad Dwyer is very much a Tony Smith style hooker, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think Joe Lovadua, if he gets more chance at dummy half, is very much a Tony Smith style hooker. I think Danny Houghton might be playing 13 next year.
Yeah, well, there's been people that have said that is where they'd like to see him. So it'd be interesting.
The other big story doing the round is that Tony Smith wants a bit of cap space to bring in some of his own signings, because Pearson has said you're up to the cap. There's not much manoeuvrability unless people go out for people to come in. And one of the big earners at the club, who it's rumoured maybe wants to be back closer to where he lives in West Yorkshire, is the only player who creates any opportunities for your side. So what's going on with Jake Connor?
Well, I don't know. It's really interesting. You know, there's been a lot of speculation, hasn't there, over the course of the season about where he's going to be going.
Especially considering he's definitely still under contract.
Yeah, for a still contracted player, he must be the most speculated player this season, I should think. I don't know, it's difficult because, yes, without him we haven't created anything, but as listeners will know, I haven't always been his biggest fan.
No, and there is definitely an upside and a downside to him, which we talk about all the time, which is why he's not the nailed-on England player that his strengths would make it obvious that he should be.
Yeah,
but he has that other side that we talk about every week.
He want to do the carry out of back play. He doesn't want, he wants to throw the no-look pass every time, which actually 2 out of 3 times will end up in touch. And then he'll turn around and have a go at the young winger or whoever it might be that, it's their fault when the pass didn't go anywhere near them. Yeah,
well, speculation's going to continue about him. A return to Huddersfield seems to be certainly one hotly touted option there. But
then is he the sort of player that Ian Watson would want?
Well, he might be, because Ian Watson's play does need some people to break it apart. But Tuilolohi has been so good. Why would you change that? That's the question to sort of have there. So yeah. But overall on Tony Smith, you're optimistic that he's the man who can get the players back focused on actually playing rugby as a team rather than, people who are more bothered about their own position and standing in the squad, maybe.
Yeah, or their off-field activities, which seems to be the focus of certain players. I'm hopeful. I think part of me is concerned, our signings are Brett Hodgson signings to make Brett Hodgson's team. I just don't want in 6 months' time, when we're losing matches, it to be, but this wasn't the team that the coach put together. Because, we've had that for 2 years.
And have like a Warrington this year kind of year, a Huddersfield last year kind of year.
Well, or a Hull for the last 2 years where it's, these are players that Lee Radford had. That's my big concern. I'd like to think that Tony Smith is a bigger coach, if that in terms of his experience.
Look, he's certainly got the standing and the track record. The Super Leagues he won at Leeds, the Challenge Cups he won at Warrington, the getting the best out of Hull KR whilst making them entertaining and enjoyable to watch.
If we can become entertaining to watch, it'd be a total novelty.
It feels like me at the end of last season.
It would certainly get bums on seats again, I think, which we need to do. We need to re-establish some connection between the players and the fans, because I do feel that that's disappeared a lot. And I said that after the derby.
Yeah.
There was.
I know you were very disappointed. Obviously, the players were disappointed with the performances.
Home matches, players, maybe 3 players came around to see the fans, which just isn't really acceptable. When you've got kids waiting at the bottom to see. Yeah,
because the kids don't necessarily care if you've won by 40 or lost by 40 in terms of getting a chance to meet their favourite players. Yeah. We've talked about this before, haven't we? When you had a big home defeat and the players kind of slumped off and stuff. Okay. Anything else going on at Hull FC whilst we're on the topic?
I don't think so. Nothing that I can think of.
Good stuff. Well, let's talk about the shortlist then for the Man of Steel. So St Helens, Jack Welsby, Wigan's fullback Jay Field, and Salford halfback Brodie Croft are the 3 nominees for the Steve Prescott Man of Steel Award for 2022. Wellesby, who's also been nominated for Young Player of the Year, we talked about that last week, helped Saints to win the League Leader Shield. Field has scored 20 tries and had 24 assists in Wigan's season so far in Super League, and also won the Challenge Cup, of course. Croft has 7 tries and 25 assists for Salford, who again made the playoffs somewhat unexpectedly, you would say. Just a side note, as a mark of respect to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, the Super League Awards, which was scheduled to take place at Headingley on Monday the 19th of September, will now take place at the same venue on Tuesday the 20th of September. Of course, moved as a mark of respect for the fallen Queen's funeral, which is on the 19th of September.
Yeah, I think just was going to say that I agree with what Alan was talking about, how the Young Player of the Year should be sort of like a one-off thing.
Yeah.
Because I was wondering, whether you could make it like a Rookie of the Year, and you've got to have played less than X matches at the start of that season to qualify, or something. Because actually, yes, numerically Wellesby is young, but how many matches has he played now?
I mean, it's a good question that I don't immediately have an answer to, but I bet we can find one out pretty quickly. But from that list, who's your front runner?
I'd like to see Brodie Croft get it, because I think he has been exceptional. Jai Field again. I think Jai Field, certainly earlier on in the season, he was a revelation, wasn't he? And teams didn't really know what to do against him. So I'd happily have him. To me, I don't think Wellesby's in the same category as the other two.
Yeah,
No, just in terms of, being one of the top 3 players in the league.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised that Tuilola here isn't in the final shortlist. He was like up there with Field when the voting went dark, sort of 2/3 of the way through the season or whenever it was. He's played 82 games for St Helens now at this stage of his career, Jack Wellesby.
Yeah, so I just think, actually, that's not young in terms of your playing career, is it?
Well, it's his 5th season in the first team. Well, he had 1 appearance in 2018, so it's his 4th season really in the first team.
Yeah.
But I think he has been exceptional for St Helens. He's been like their key creative player in very much the same way that Lola here has been at Huddersfield, that Connor has been at Hull, that Croft, to a certain extent, you have to say as well, has been at Salford. I think Jay Field did start the season absolutely brilliantly when he was the main man for Wigan. I think he's then, when Cade Cuss, I think underrated part of Jay Field's season is when Cade Cuss got injured in the Challenge Cup final, Jay Field moved into the halves for Wigan for a period after that, when Tommy Luluai was still injured as well. And he didn't necessarily have the same impactful long breaks like the one against Salford that won the game earlier in the season and that sort of thing. But he was very strong though in those games. He was.
But he wasn't doing the exceptional, was he? And
but he was decent at defending in the line, which I think is a big shift sometimes for players who are moving between half-back and full-back.
I just mean he's not going to have captured the necessarily the plaudits in the same way.
Not as often and not as obviously, no. Yeah, you're exactly right. But I think he was very good in those games still. Mm-hmm. And then I think when he moved back to fullback, he did have a few explosive games again. It's just what started to happen is instead of him finishing off the tries, he was actually throwing the pass to Bevan French, who finished off the tries. Not taking away from French's performances either, because he was fantastic at fullback and on the wing for Wigan this season. But yeah, I've seen most games this season, all televised games, most games that most teams have played, but I've seen every single game that Jay Field has played, and he's been, for me, the outstanding player across the whole season. But Yeah, Lola here not being on the list was a bit of a surprise, I have to say.
The other player that I think